Right, today on 10 Minutes With, we're with a solicitor called Sonal. Sonal, hello.
Hi.
Before we start,
Yeah.
the difference between a lawyer and a solicitor, because I got confused. What's the difference?
Lawyer is a really generic term for all sorts of lawyers, which could include a paralegal, could include a solicitor, could include a barrister, whereas a solicitor is the term for somebody who has specifically qualified as a solicitor.
And you've qualified as a solicitor.
I have, yeah.
You've been through the whole process,
Yes.
and you've been doing this for how many years now?
Over 20 years.
Okay, so you've got some experience in what
Definitely.
you do. What do you specialise in?
Property, residential property.
Right, okay. So my question to you is, someone who's 16, 17, 18 wants to become a solicitor, wants to go into the legal profession.
Yeah.
They've all seen Suits and they all think it's very glamorous and
Yeah.
it's amazing, and
Yeah.
you know, they're probably thinking there's thousands of pounds a day, I can bill hundreds of pounds an hour, etc. We'll get into the money side of it in a minute, but
Yeah.
I'm 16 to 18, I'm doing my A-levels. So let's start with GCSEs.
Mm-hmm.
Does it matter what GCSEs I do if I want to go into the legal profession?
Not really, but you will definitely need a good command of the English language because
Okay.
you will be reading a lot and trying to understand complex law. So I would suggest you concentrate on English, definitely.
Okay.
Which is a core subject anyway, but try and do well in that, definitely. But apart from that, no. But if you've got kind of an inkling you want to do law, it might be helpful to have a law GCSE, but it's not necessary.
It's not necessary. No. So at that point, your options are still open.
Yeah.
But English you'd suggest, and
Yeah.
and if you don't like reading, then you're in trouble.
You're in trouble.
Okay. A-levels, where do I sit there?
Likewise, you don't necessarily need an A-level in law.
Oh, okay.
It will help you
Right, okay.
if you go on to do a law degree, but you don't need to have an A-level in law.
Okay, so I could just do sociology, English, maths,
Yeah,
whatever,
you can do.
at A-level. So,
I did art.
oh, did you?
Yeah,
Oh,
I did
okay.
art and law and English,
Oh,
so
okay.
a whole mixture.
So at that point at A-level,
Yeah.
could I then go into the legal industry? Could I become a solicitor?
Yes, you will need. There's a couple of ways in which you can qualify as a solicitor.
This is from an
So,
A-level, so I'm 17, 18.
Yeah, so you do your A-levels.
Yep.
Then you go on to doing your degree, which could be a straightforward law degree.
Oh, so I have to do a degree.
You have to do a degree.
So there's nothing to do. I can't leave at 17 after my A-levels and become a solicitor.
There are now solicitor apprenticeships.
Okay, so
So there is an avenue, I believe.
yep.
Obviously, that's quite a new thing, but there is an avenue, I believe, that you can do that. It's still going to take you 6 years to do that, so it's not going to be any quicker for you to
Okay.
qualify as a lawyer, but you will be then working as well as doing your exam. So it's not necessarily an easier route.
Okay, so the normal route, you're saying it's going to a
Law
degree.
Yeah.
Okay, and how long is a law degree?
Law degree usually is 3 years. Sometimes you can have a gap year and do some work experience in that gap year. You can also do a non-law degree and qualify as a solicitor by doing a conversion course after you've done your degree.
Okay, so I could do a degree in geography
Yeah.
or anything else for that matter, and then do a conversion course
Yeah, for a year.
for 1 year,
Yeah.
and then qualifies as
You won't qualify straight after your degree.
Right.
You've then got to do another course,
right. Okay.
okay, which is called, it used to be called the legal practice course.
Yep.
It's now called the solicitor's qualifying exam.
Right.
So there's a period of transition at the moment for the next 10 years where you could do the LPC or the SQE. Regardless of whether you do a law degree or a non-law degree,
Yeah.
you will have to do the LPC or SQE.
And how long does that all take? Because the law degree, I mean, a degree, whether
A
it's
degree
law,
will
or
take you
not,
3 years.
and
SQ is generally another year or 2 years, depending on whether you've done it full-time or part-time.
okay.
And then you have to do your qualifying work experience.
Okay, so I've done my degree.
Yeah.
I've done the second part. It's quite a costly experience up to this
Yeah.
point, and now I need to go and work somewhere.
Yeah.
And what do you call that? Is it a contract, training
So
contract,
that-
or
That, again, because this period of transition, it's either called a training contract or your qualifying work experience. So it's changing currently at the moment. They're trying to change the way in which you qualify. So you need to do 2 years of that training contract / work experience.
and how is it? How easy is it to get a training contract?
I would say your easy part is the is doing the qualification, okay? But the hard part is getting your work experience.
Right.
So my advice to a young person would be, get as much work experience as you can. If you're doing your GCSEs and you think, I'm going to become a lawyer, go out there, go in the summer, get some work experience. If it's unpaid, it's unpaid. You need to know whether that's actually what you want to do.
Right, okay.
And you need to start getting contacts, network going, because it's so difficult to get training contract.
How important, even at that age, is LinkedIn for connections or networking? Is it important?
I would say so, because if people have seen you, they know that you're ambitious, they know that you're doing all the right things. It may not help massively, but at least you're trying to do what you can to get your name out there.
It sounds like it's a big task going to get a training contract.
It is, yeah.
Is it 1 in 100 type of scenario?
Yeah, literally.
It is,
It is, yeah. I think you've got to be really sensible about where you've studied, what your grades are, because you will always be pushed towards, go to a city firm, that's where the money is. But is that really where your ability is? And is that really available to you? Because if you've studied, say, in a normal school, state school, you've gone to a very ordinary university, you've come out with good grades, apply, but you may need to set your boundaries as to being in a regional firm as opposed to a city firm.
And if I manage to get a training contract and I get a 2-year training contract with a company, what sort of money would I expect? Because I've spent a lot of money so far through the education. What sort of money would I be expecting on a training contract?
It really differs between whether you're in a regional firm or a city firm. So if you're in a regional firm, you could be lower 20s, upwards from that. In a city firm, it could be 60k upwards from that.
But like you said, it's very hard to get into.
Hard to get into city firm.
You're sort of dog eat dog. And let's say, for example, I've done my training and I'm in the training contract. I'm assuming the firm is not obliged to then take you on full time.
Exactly. So you could do all your exams, you could do your qualifying work experience, and still find that you don't have a job at the end of it.
Right. Okay.
So you're then trying to become a newly qualified solicitor in a different firm. But it's slightly easier at that point because you've done your training.
So you have got some pedigree behind you.
Exactly, yeah.
And in your market today, for example, in the world of being a solicitor in the legal terms, how easy is it to get a job in the UK?
I think, obviously when I started it was incredibly difficult.
Yeah.
I started out as an office junior. I did my LPC and I actually couldn't get a training contract. So I started out as an office junior and then managed to get a training contract through somebody I knew, and I grafted, literally. So you've got to have that mindset of, if I can't get a training contract, I will work for lower pay or whatever it is, become paralegal and then become a trainee.
Okay, so are there jobs out there today for someone?
There are definitely jobs out there, but it's very competitive. So you really do need to try and get your grades and build your network.
And let's say I do what you suggest, do my training contract and I've done my degree. Can I transfer that to, let's say, the US? Is it easy for me to go and practice in the US or another country?
I don't think it is, actually, because the law will be completely different.
So you'll have to
do some kind of conversion.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
And in the UK, obviously it's quite competitive, and we've heard from many people that training contracts, apprentices, and it's difficult because it's one in so many hundreds of people trying to apply. But your advice is, get networking, get as much experience, even at 16, 17? Even
at 16, 17, because if you find that actually you work in an office, it's completely different to reading law. So if you find you go to an office and you're like, actually, this isn't for me, it's a desk job, I don't like this, you may find that actually you don't want to do it.
Right.
So it's very good to just get that experience, just to set in your mind whether or not it's actually what you want to do before you make this commitment to 6, 7 years of your life, and then find at the end of it, that's not what I want. Because I've known trainees to say, I don't actually like this, I've got to change direction.
And obviously so that's one of my questions.
Yeah.
How many dropouts do you think they happen?
I think there's quite a lot, actually. I reckon probably about 50%. Because year on year, if you don't get a training contract, you're competing with the new graduates as well as those that are trying to get their training contract from previous.
So there's more in the
There's more in the pot.
pool, and more in the pool. Okay, that's really interesting. And it's interesting to know it's not, it's a long process, and it's a hard process.
Yeah, you've really got to want it.
Okay, so my final question to you is, if you were to give one piece of advice to a 16, 17-year-old who wants to go in to be a solicitor or go into the world of law, what would that bit of advice be?
Get your work experience, get out there, graft. You've really got to start getting to know people and getting to know law firms and what you want to really do. You need to know what type of area of law as well that you want to try and get into, because it may be, if you want to do like myself, residential property or family law, you'll be in a regional firm as opposed to a city firm. Right,
so head down and work experience and get used to reading.
Yeah, definitely.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Well, thank you very much for your time.
You're very welcome.
Appreciate it. Thank you.